Aloha and welcome to SC Finance Strategies and Insurance Consultants. I am Stan Cox, the principal broker and strategist with SCFSIC. We're going to talk about qualified accounts and participating whole life insurance and how they stack up. This question of or situation or mindset comes up so often. I feel mandated to address it. In fact, it is such a common topic of conversation when we meet with new clients. I thought I'd already actually published an article or video about this. Anyway, so how do qualified retirement accounts and cash-rich whole life insurance stack up? Well, maybe I've been hesitant about tackling this in a public way due to the fear that I may be disregarded as being biased. Well, I am. But the reason is not because I don't sell investment programs or qualified plans. Well, let me just set out the facts and you decide how things stack up. Okay? Now, if you've watched our webinar or some of our other videos, you may know that we aren't big fans of gambling. And I often refer to the stock market as the Wall Street slot machine. But I digress. And I will get back to that idea a little later. First, what are qualified retirement plans? A qualified plan is an investment designated as a retirement account where the owner of the account can invest money before it is taxed as income. And that's called pre-tax dollars. It is not tax exempt, but rather tax deferred. What is an investment? There are a number of definitions of what an investment is or what investment means, but for this conversation, we'll limit it to money that is invested in the hope of gains. But the point of this definition is that hope is not a guarantee. It's not guaranteed. Now, in the case of qualified plans such as 401ks, 503bs, IRAs, TSPs, and all related plans, they are generally offered with 3 risk levels or categories: high risk, medium risk, and low risk. The objective is that the investment is hoped to make a profit for the investor that they can use in retirement as income. The hoped for profit is higher with the higher risk investments and lower with the lower risk investments. The risk level is determined largely by the track record of the investment vehicle. In most cases, the vehicles are mutual funds and government bonds. Bonds are low risk, and funds can be medium or high risk. Bonds are pretty predictable in a variety of economic environments and generate low profit yield. Well, funds, mutual funds, can vary widely in yield depending on the fund and the current condition of the economy, which is in a constant state of flux. And it could have the potential for quite high profits. The point is that all investments of these kinds have risk of loss. Even with real estate and bonds, while generally pretty solid, an investment in those vehicles can and have gone bust. So remember, qualified plans are invested with pre-tax dollars. That is, tax is deferred until money from the plan is taken or distributed. And at that point, the money will be taxed as income. and the tax rate will be whatever the current tax rate is at the time of the distribution. That's an important consideration. Imagine or think about this. The current federal income tax rates are the lowest they've been since the 1970s. Back in the 70s, income tax was as high as 70%. Right now, the highest tax rate is 39.6%. Back in the 70s, the national debt was only $500 billion. Today, the national debt is over $20 trillion. Take a guess. Take a wild guess at how the income tax rate is going to go in the future. You think it might go higher? That means that when you are retired and don't have a regular paycheck anymore, and you're depending on your retirement plan for income, you're going to be taxed at a higher rate than you are now. That may not be such a great thing. Remember this too, the money you invest in that retirement plan may be lost by the downturns in the stock market. It's not guaranteed. So even if your plan does make a profit, how much of that will be left for you after the plan management takes their fees annually, and then the IRS takes their bite when you get your distributions? In a moment, we'll make the actual comparison to whole life insurance, so I need to mention the restrictions associated with qualified plans. Early withdrawal. If you take any money out of your qualified plan before you reach age 59 and a half, except in a couple of special circumstances, you will not only be taxed on that withdrawal, but you'll also get hit with a 10% penalty. And if you don't take at least the minimum required distributions, or MRD, starting at age 70 and a half, your entire plan will be penalized 10%. And when you die, your plan beneficiaries will be taxed on whatever the balance might be in your plan at that time. Okay, so how does the cash value of participating whole life stack up? Well, first, what is participating whole life insurance? Participating whole life is provided by mutual companies, mutual insurance companies, and it's called participating because each policy owner becomes a shareholder in the insurance company, and as such, their policies receive dividends. The dividends will fluctuate depending on the profits of the company and are not guaranteed, but the dividends are a bonus on top of the guaranteed interest paid to the policy's cash value. The guaranteed annual compounding interest rate is usually 4 or 5%. And like I said, it's compounding. The money you pay into the policy as premiums are after-tax dollars, so you've already paid income tax on that money. And as a result, the cash value of the account grows with compounding guaranteed interest plus dividends in a tax-deferred way that you actually will never have to pay tax on it at all. And neither will your beneficiaries. Your only account fees with participating whole life insurance are a very minimal maintenance fee. And since interest is guaranteed, there is no risk of loss. There are also no penalties for accessing your cash value at any age when you do so by means of policy loans. And there is no required minimum distribution at any age. All that means that you can take advantage of the cash value of your policy in retirement or at any time without paying income tax or penalties. I'd like to mention here that dividend interest has been as high as 12% and more over the past few decades. And while it is currently at a low 6%, that's still a whole lot higher than interest being paid anywhere else. And it's not at risk. Conversely, while qualified plan managers will quote top funds as having a 12 to 15% gain average in recent years, the fact is that most plan participants have averaged only 4 to 5% annual gains over the last 20 years. And that's before they have to pay tax on it. So in reality, you have to take at least 25% away from that, which would leave only about 3% for most participants in the plans. At this point, I'd like to quote a piece from a newsletter titled, "Why Are You Taking Risk?" Here's the quote. "Investors today have adopted the mentality, if you take risk, you will be wealthy. The truth of it all is this: the wealthy don't like risk. No, they don't. And they do everything they can to avoid it. That's why high cash value life insurance is so common among those that are wealthy. It never loses money, and it has no risk." Now, we are not against 401ks and other qualified plans. No, not at all. But if they are inherently risky. So the wise way to build wealth is to start with a guaranteed plan, such as participating whole life, and especially as designed for the infinite banking tax-free cash growth warehouse strategy. Then, after that foundation is established, if you have money that you feel that you can put at risk, go ahead and invest in some sort of qualified plan. Now, to review, here's a chart comparing qualified plans with participating whole life insurance. And I would like to say mahalo for watching.